The idea of benching Jackson Arnold is dumb.
You are Locked On Sooners, your daily podcast on the Oklahoma Sooners. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Sooner Nation? Welcome to Locked On Sooners, and thank you for making Locked On Sooners your first listen every single day. Shout out to all the everydayers. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase over at Game Time. He's Jay Smith. I'm John Williams. And Jay, I've been seeing a lot of talk about the idea of benching quarterback one, Jackson Arnold, if he struggles in this game against Tulane. And I'm here to say that we are way premature on any of that talk. It is silly that it is a talking point in Sooner Nation right now. I see it on Facebook. I see it on X, formerly known as Twitter. I'm sure it's out there on Instagram. If you've got letters that you're writing to grandma, I bet some of you are writing that to grandma right now, that the Oklahoma Sooners need to consider benching Jackson Arnold. It is so early in the dude's career in a developmental game where nothing is really right around him right now. Aside from Deion Burks and your tight end situation and a couple of your offensive linemen, you don't have a right situation for your quarterback to develop. Let's look at Baker Mayfield in the NFL right now. Okay, he was solid in a couple of years with Cleveland. Gets injured. They move on from him. Where does he go? To the stinko Carolina Panthers. And then he goes and he thrives with Sean McVay as a backup to Matt Stafford for a minute. And then he lands in a really solid, stable situation in Tampa Bay with a really good cast around him, good offensive line, a good organization with good coaching. And what's happening? Baker Mayfield is thriving, both on and off the field, welcoming his son into the world, also thriving on the field. So this idea that Jackson Arnold is the problem is completely mind-boggling to me. It'd be different if we had a Joe Moore award-winning offensive line up front for Jackson Arnold, and he had all four of his top 5 wide receivers there playing in the game, the guys that are missing right now, and they were playing, and he's just not looking good at all. Then I might be able to entertain an argument, but still, I think it'd be way too early. But if we're not going to consider the context with which Jackson Arnold is playing the game of college football, then what are we even doing here, Jay? What are we even talking about right now?
Yeah, so I'm with you on this portion. Also, Baker had a daughter, Kova.
My fault.
It's all right. Happens to the best of us. Kova J.
All right, Bake.
Beautiful picture of her after he won with the Bucks, and he looked great. But I know the emotions are there. I get you. That happens to all of us, right? We get overwhelmed with that because it's a very ridiculous notion to believe that you need to go ahead and bench Jackson Arnold 3 starts in with 4 different centers, right? And you make some valid points. The one thing that I don't get with everyone's idea of benching Jackson Arnold is, who do you want to play next? Because I'm going to tell you this. If you mention Casey Thompson, all of them will tell you no. No. We've seen him for years. He's not ready. He shouldn't play. He may not even be healthy. Then you're going to go into Michael Hawkins. As much as I enjoy and love Michael Hawkins, he's a freshman with 0 starts at the collegiate level. Now, a lot of people that... Yeah, I mean, he's got a lot of juice to him. There's a lot of... Most people that have mentioned it to me, their biggest thought behind having Michael Hawkins start is his ability to scramble. Jackson Arnold can scramble too, just to keep that out there. But their idea is that he's going to get out there and he's going to make plays with his legs, which hopefully will open up the pass. When the flaw in that thinking is, if the wide receivers aren't running the routes right, if they're not getting themselves open, if they're not clearing out space, no matter who's throwing the ball, you're going to have that problem. Now, this isn't us throwing, shade or knocking our wide receivers. Our wide receiver room is young right now, right? Our idea of success this season came from the wide receivers, the veterans playing.
Yep.
You've heard me say this literally every day this week. I'm going to tell you, and I'm going to keep emphasizing this. Deion Burks is being bracketed. They're watching him. They know that he's the threat. They understand that Brennan Thompson is a deep threat. He's still refining his runs, right? He's even said it himself. He wants to not be a one-trick pony. But that takes skills, time, experience, understanding of defensive schemes. Everybody grasps the concepts and stuff differently. So, John, you're not off base on this, thinking of the ridiculous notion of changing quarterbacks, especially when the system is built for this guy. The most important thing is, unless you have this dude doing like sprint out passes on a regular basis to get him away from the offensive line because you have fear that the offensive line is going to struggle really bad, you're going to get the same result with every quarterback that's back there. Right now, we need to get healthy. It looks like we're getting to that direction as some of those key veterans are starting to now come back. Our hope was to have majority of them back by Tennessee, and it looks like we're getting there. But in this Tulane game, the main thing is going to be the main thing. We got to out-muscle them. We really do. And the young players that are going to be forced to play got to show up. What's on Jackson Arnold's shoulders is running the offense and helping his teammates out. This is just, he needs to grow up now. It sucks, but hey, that's the game.
And listen, don't get me wrong. Jackson Arnold needs to play better. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that he's played well, that he's played great. I thought he's had some really, really good moments where you turn on the tape and you're like, man, that dude's got a future at the position. And then you turn on some moments, you're like, he's going to want that one back. Yeah, right? And I'm not even talking about the interceptions in the Alamo Bowl. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going back that far. But you could tell in this game against Houston that there were throws that he goes back and watches on tape and he's like, dang.
I wish I had that one back.
Right. If I wish I'd have thrown that one very differently. And so, listen, I'm not going to sit here and try to tell you that Jackson Arnold has played well this year. I thought I think he's done some really good things, but he's got to be better. For the Oklahoma Sooners, he's got to be better. But I don't think we're in a situation where we need to think about changing quarterbacks. This is a young dude. He's still got how many years of eligibility left, Jay? Beyond this one, 2 more.
Yeah, you got 2 more after this one. Yeah, he's got time.
So he's got a true sophomore development. He's got time to develop. I've said it on this show. Quinn Ewers is not the same quarterback now as he was when he first started at Texas.
No, not at all.
Jalen Milroe, they were ready to run out of town last year after the Texas game, right? They benched him early in the season. And then he helped get them to the playoff. He helped them win the SEC title. He helped now he's going to make them a contender this year. So let's not be quick to cut bait on a guy who's got legit NFL talent because we've not seen the high-flying Oklahoma Sooners offense that we've grown accustomed to. Let's be a little patient.
I think it's funny that we even thought that we were going to get this high-flying Oklahoma.
Listen, I get it.
From the years past,
hyped
right?
Everybody up. I gassed everybody up all off season, so I take partial blame for this.
Okay, we'll throw this on your shoulders then, because I'm gonna tell you that's something I have not said.
Put the blame on me.
We're blaming John for this one, and I get it. But that's the thing with me is that's the one thing I told people that not to expect. I expected Seth Luttrell to slow this down and literally for us to live off the defense, right? You've got a young quarterback, and that's something that takes time to develop, right? To me, he has the skill set that Drake May had down there at UNC. That's who he reminds me of the most if I'm going with the most recent guy that's played. I'm not looking at any of the other quarterbacks, Bo Nix or any of them, because they're a lot more cavalierish. I feel like Drake May was a scrambler. He took some risk, a little Favre-ish, but not at the extreme of a Bo Picks or Bo Nix, as we would call him, Bo Picks all the time. But he did play. He played in a lot of movement. He moved around, he scrambled around, and he made things happen with his legs. And that's what I would like to see more out of Jackson. Like, see him get out of the pocket, because he is abandoning the pocket a lot earlier than I would like, because some of those pockets are clean, but at the same time, he has PTSD because he's not accustomed to having the starters in the game. He's been seeing so many different players. I totally understand that. But even with him abandoning it and moving around, he's making good passes, right? Sometimes. If anything, he needs, again, we've said this ad nauseum, and I know y'all get tired of hearing this all the time, but at the same time, sometimes it needs to be emphasized, especially for the new people and the uninitiated that's listening for the first time. All Jackson Arnold needs to do is take what the defense is giving them, and they're going to give them all the short routes because they have fear that they're going to get dusted on the deep route.
Yep. And if we pick up 5 yards at a time, throwing 5-yard hitches all game long,
totally worth it.
I mean, just go do it.
I'll take 2 of them.
Just be efficient. Move the ball, score points, touchdown, Jackson Arnold. What are they going to do this week against Tulane's defense? We'll discuss coming up next here on Locked On Sooners.
Passion, drive, and patience. The formula for winning championships is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the price you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guarantee Fit only available to U.S. customers.
And when you're hiring for your small business, you got to go check out LinkedIn. You want to find quality candidates that are right for the role. That's why you have to go to LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs has the tools to help you find the right professionals for your team faster and for free. Listen, I've been a part of hiring processes. I can see a resume. I can look at it. I can interview somebody, but sometimes what I've got in front of me isn't enough. That's why LinkedIn helps cut through some of the things that you're looking to find in the right candidate. It's not just another job board. LinkedIn helps you hire professionals you can't find anywhere else, even those who aren't actively searching for a new job, but might be open to the perfect role. In a given month, over 70% of LinkedIn users don't visit other leading job sites. So if you're not looking on LinkedIn, you're looking in the wrong place. On LinkedIn, 86% of small businesses get a qualified candidate within 24 hours. Hire professionals like a professional on LinkedIn. 2.5 million small businesses use LinkedIn for hiring. So go post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. That's linkedin.com/lockedoncollege to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Again, thank you for making Locked On Sooners your first listen every single day. Also, go check out Locked On SEC to get ready for a big weekend of college football, especially in the SEC. Some really intriguing matchups. BC at Mizzou, Georgia at Kentucky, LSU at South Carolina, Alabama at Wisconsin. A lot of really fun matchups. Go listen to Chris Gordy as he's going to break them all down for you this week as you get ready for the weekend. But, Jay, as you look at Tulane's defense and Oklahoma's offense, what do you think Oklahoma has to do offensively to be able to win against Tulane's defense?
I think the most critical thing that the Sooners will need to do is to get the run game established, either by getting the inside zone and finding a back that's ready to just go ahead and just attack the hole, which was probably going to be either Javonte Barnes or Taylor Tatum. Seems like Salchuk is a little hesitant right now. Or if you can get him going, same thing with him. Or you can get some screen passes going, right? We talked about this earlier in the week, John. The most important thing for Oklahoma right now offensively is to just get everybody into some sort of rhythm, right? Mm-hmm. Get the offensive line in a rhythm with their blocks and movement, get the running backs into a rhythm, get the quarterbacks going, finding a way to get everybody into some sort of rhythm and groove so that we're not only controlling most of the clock, but we're also just getting past second and third downs and not getting stuck on these deep third downs, right? First downs will be most important. If we can just get the ball to like a Deion Burks across the middle quickly, or a Bauer Sharp or a Jake Roberts real quick, get 2 and 3 yards, then hand the ball off and push it to get some additional yards. That's probably the best strategy for that to me. How do you think that Oklahoma needs to attack Tulane? Where do you think is probably the best places to go?
Yeah, I think we got to get away from first down runs. I think that's been a little bit predictable for Oklahoma, and it's not gone well. They've not been super effective getting the ball moving forward. They've been really, really inefficient. Last week against Houston, they had a success rate running the football of just 30%. And so let's help Jackson Arnold a little bit more by, just like you said, man, get Deion Burks the ball, little drag route, whether it's a wide receiver screen, a little hitch, something. Bauer Sharp, Jake Roberts, the hitch routes. Use those big bodies inside and pick up 5 yards, get that 5 yards on first down, set yourself up with a good 2nd and 5, and then you have the whole playbook open to you. When you try to throw that little, shovel pass to Deion Burks as he's coming across the formation, and yeah, it was poorly blocked. But even if it's blocked well, you can still go backwards. So let's not set ourselves up with a first, down that's a negative run play. Get yourself ahead of the chains by throwing the quick passing game, man. I know Jackson Arnold's got the big arm and we want to see big, deep balls and we want to get the ball down the field, but let's really focus in on the quick passing game, get the ball out of his hands quickly, get the ball into your quick wide receivers' hands so they can make some things happen after the catch, or even just, again, 5 yards in a cloud of dust, right? Like I know that's, the old saying back in the day was 3 yards in a cloud of dust back in the old NFL, but in the new age offense, just keep moving the ball. I don't care if it's 5 yards, 4 yards, just keep moving the ball, get yourself in the manageable down in distances, be efficient with the ball. If they can do that offensively, I think that'll really go a long way to helping them to have a productive day. Just don't force things, man. Don't force things down the field, whether you're Jackson Arnold or Seth Luttrell or your wide receivers. Just don't force it down the field. There will be something open underneath because you have the speed to really challenge Tulane's defense. The other thing is I think they can and should still try to focus on the running game, but just not being so predictable with every first down play call being a run, make it every other or mix it up so that Tulane doesn't know. Because Kansas State averaged 6.5 yards per rush against Tulane, even playing from behind. They got down 14-3 in that game in the first half, and they played from behind for most of the game. They kept running the football, and they ran it with really, really great effectiveness. So I know Oklahoma's going to be down offensive linemen. You still got to try to find a way to run the football. And I think you're right with Javonte Barnes, Sam Franklin getting downhill fast, creating dirty yards. It's the DeMarco Murray runs. I remember Jason Garrett talking about DeMarco Murray picking up the dirty yardage, right? The 3 yards. If it's called to go for 5 and you only get 3, at least you're getting 3, right? If the defense makes a play and they got you stopped at 0 yards, you still get 3. Making sure you pick up those 3 yards and put yourself in a better, 2nd and 7 is better than 2nd and 9, 2nd and 10, 2nd and 11. So at least get yourself in those situations.
Yeah, I want as many 3rd and 1s or 2nd and 2s that we can get our hands on, right? And like you mentioned, not being as predictable with the runs, go with the 2 running back, go 2-back system, a 21 personnel, 22 personnel, and from there, toss a quick screen, right? A slip screen, tunnel screen, or hit Burks real quick with a quick curl across the middle. Get your tight ends more involved. Hey, give me a 13 personnel. I'm down to see all the tight ends out there running through people. Whatever it takes, I put it this way. Everyone was critical about our offense against Houston compared to UNLV, but UNLV runs a very gimmicky offense, right? That go-go offense is considered very gimmicky. Lots of misdirection, lots of just, a lot of things going on, right? Try a little bit of that too, right? Yeah. Just throw some misdirection out there, throw a little gimmick out there, whatever, anything, because we would like to go with the bear raid where we just power our way through people. And right now, we ain't got the bodies for it. So you need to lighten up on that portion of it. Like you said, not to be so predictable. If you put the 2-back set in there and you throw a screen here, and the next time you get 2-back set and you run it down their throat, ain't nobody going to be prepared for that. They don't know what's going to be less predictable on some of those plays. Make that happen. I just don't think the inside zone is for us right now. We don't have a back that has the confidence to make that work, because if you bring in Taylor Tatum because he's good on the inside zone, if there's a pass route, you're going to have to pull him out right now. He's just not that dude when it comes to blocking right now. He'll get there. He's not reading the reads yet. That's where you can become predictable again. So you got to switch that up. So I'm with you on that. Don't be predictable on those first plays out, because I think also their secondary is very susceptible. So they're going to try to push back because they're going to have fear of the deep ball. They have a couple of guys that are susceptible to getting toasted. We can do that. So our goal is going to be to make sure that we don't allow our guys to get burnt.
Yeah, and so, Oklahoma's going to try to get some things going down the field, but get ready for Tulane to play a lot of 2 safety high, because they don't want to get run off the field. They don't want to get cooked deep. And even though Oklahoma's offense struggled last week, listen, it's still Oklahoma, right? It's still got a big armed quarterback. with big time wide receivers that can run. And if Nick Anderson's back this week, that provides another big time threat. I also would like to see like 10 tight end targets combined between Jake Roberts and Bauer Sharp, just because, listen, they've been effective when they've been a part of the offense, and not just, the stuff you did with Jake Roberts with the RPO, when you're trying to throw that little jump pass or whatever, get him involved, like throw those option routes, throw the Jason Witten route, the Y option, where he's either running a curl or he's running an out. Like, it's a super safe, but it's super effective pass route that can be really, really helpful in your passing game to, again, put you ahead of the chain. So that's another thing I'd like to see, is just get the tight ends more involved, because that is a stable part of your offense right now. When your wide receiver depth is not really stable, production's not really super stable, the chemistry and the communication is not really there. Your tight ends, listen, they're not elite, but they're solid, right? They've got a solid foundation, a solid floor that you can expect to get good things out of. But hey, this Oklahoma Sooners defense is going to get a bit of a test this week when the Green Wave come to town. Where can Oklahoma win? Let's discuss coming up next on Locked On Sooners.
Fuel up with Factor's no prep, no mess meals. Look, as busy as the days I have, from working to recording the podcast to going to youth sporting events, volleyball, soccer, softball, football, the time to prepare my kids and their abilities to being world-class athletes are tough. But the best part about Factor, they're fresh, never frozen meals, and they're dietitian approved, and they're ready to eat in just 2 minutes. My kids can grab them, poke the holes in the unit, pop it in the microwave, and they can get going. And it's good quality meals, right? They've got some great options with 35 different meal options, over 60 different add-ons to choose from each week. So you're always got new flavors. My kids love exploring the new flavors that's come in. As soon as the box gets there, they're excited to see what options they have for the week. So it's awesome. It keeps kitchen time down. That way I can focus on the most important things, like being to practice or being at games on time, and recording this podcast with John on time for you all. So you need to head over to factormeals.com/lockedoncollege50. Use our code lockedoncollege50 and get 50% off your first box and 20% off your next month. That code is lockedoncollege50, the number 50, at factor.com/lockedoncollege50 to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month while your subscription is active.
And get ready for game day with the best vintage apparel around at Home Field Apparel. Home Field's going to be in Norman this week, Jay, and I know you're excited about some of the events that they've got going on. They're going to be in town Friday evening for a happy hour, and Saturday as you get ready for Oklahoma Tulane. Friday, they'll be at the Coach's Corner from 4 to 7. Might be some fun things being given away, Jay.
Yeah, and if you're rocking some, locked on some Home Field Apparel like I am, they got some prizes for you. I actually plan on being around there, so you can come hang out with me also. But Home Field Apparel's got some cool stuff also going on right now. Great promotions. They've got the platinum boxes that are still available for some of your teams. If you're a Sooner fan, of course, looks like they got a couple of those left over. With that, you'll get some awesome apparel, a hoodie, a VIP koozie. And with those platinum VIP only stuff, you'll get a pass. They get you 20% off and early access on all of their releases throughout the 2024 season. Definitely a perk to have, because then you won't be getting stuck with all the sold out stuff. So you got to check them out. The code there is Sooner24 over at homefieldapparel.com.
Yeah, so gear up for SEC season by going to homefieldapparel.com. Also go to the happy hour at Coach's Corner from 4 to 7. That's on Lindsay Street. And then also for Saturday game day, Boomer Sooner brunch at Rally Kitchen and Bar at Noun Hotel from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. with homefieldapparel.com. Again, that promo code is Sooner24 for a discount at checkout at homefieldapparel.com. All right, Jay, the Oklahoma Sooners defense gets another test. I know it's a little bit different than Houston, but with the Tulane Green Wave coming to town, they've got a really, really good offense led by a really good true freshman quarterback.
Yeah, I like Darian Mensah. He's pretty solid. I know that he was kind of banged up in the Kansas State game. If I'm correct, Ty Thompson had to play a little bit at the end of that game. So this is going to be a great test on our secondary because Mensah likes to chunk it, right? Now, he doesn't go deep, right? I think he's only thrown 9 passes over 20 yards this season. Most of them have been between the 10, the 0 and the 10 yard, or actually 0 and the
0 to
20.
19,
So he's still in the 19. So he's still throwing some intermediate passes, and he likes to chunk it. He also likes to move, but he doesn't really run. He just scrambles around the pocket to find an opportunity and wait for his guys to get open, which will definitely stress our secondary. This is the game that's going to be where the secondary and the linebacker room is going to be able to prove their worth. The defensive line also. The faster you get to Mensah or you bottle him up and you contain him, the much better off that we're going to be. And so, John, I'm looking at this one as the game that should prepare us, honestly, for Tennessee. We're kind of getting lucky with the ramp-up games, right? As we're going through it, right? You got Temple that ramped you right into Houston. And Houston, honestly, the way Donovan Smith with his dinking and dunking, the way that he was very careful with the ball, he's gotten very careful, is leading you to Mensah, who's a little bit more aggressive with the way that he chunks it. And then you're going to go into Josh Heupel veer and shoot offense with Nico throwing it. We're building ourselves up defensively. And so if the secondary shows out in this game, this could really be the thing that lets us know what this defense is going to look like this season.
Yeah, if they're able to stop the run a little bit, slow down Mekhi Hughes, I think that gives them a good chance to be really good at the back end and containing Mario Williams. Hey, Mario Williams is off to a great start, man, this season. He had 6 catches, 128 yards against Kansas State. Looks really, really good. He looks the part, right? He looks the part of a dude that is going to be a big-time contributor for the Green Wave this year. And again, why you don't give up on a guy. You keep developing because you see that the talent is there. This is going to be a tough offense to contain. Mekhi Hughes last week, 21 carries, 128 yards and a touchdown. Mario Williams, 6 for 128, average 21.3 yards per reception. Darian Mensah, 19 for 29, 65.5% completion, 342 yards, averaged 11.8 yards per attempt. So you're seeing a guy that's playing very efficient football. He's also pushing the ball down the field, and they're making big plays in the passing game. So it's going to be a big, big test. I think what benefits Oklahoma here is they've been really good against the run in the first couple of weeks of the season. They're one of the best run defenses in the country, and that's where it's going to start for them. But I expect Tulane to try and keep things opened up by attacking them through the air early and forcing Oklahoma to back off a little bit. But I think Oklahoma's got the guys up front in Dominic Williams, Jaden Jackson, Ethan Downs, and with the linebacker crew led by Danny Stutzman, that they can play 2 high safeties, not have to commit a bunch to the box, and still be effective against the run game.
Yeah, I can agree with you there. That actually makes a lot of sense in the whole grand scheme of what we know that this team is going to want to run. The goal here is get them off the field as fast as possible. So this is also a good test. Not only the interior guys, we know that they're going to do their work. They've been doing it. It's time for the edges to show us what they're made of as well, right? Interior guys and linebackers I'm solid with. I'm very high on our secondary, but we haven't been tested the way that we need to be tested against teams that's going to try us vertical or teams that's going to test us out with yak. Tulane's going to be the one, and I think that we'll be up for the test. Again, this defense is going to carry us to majority of the wins this season. If this defense can carry us to double-digit wins this season, yeah, we've got a very good chance to do some special stuff. So this is going to be the best test leading us right into the SEC because honestly, when you get into offenses, you'll have Tennessee, you'll have Texas, you'll have Ole Miss, and then you'll have Missouri that you really have to worry about. And then you'll have to go in the season, depending on how these teams look, Alabama and LSU.
Yeah, I think we'll find out a lot more about this team. I think we feel really, really good about the direction. I feel really good about who this team is. It's just they need to keep passing tests, It's building. It's stacking good day upon good day upon good day, good game upon good game. Now you got to prove it again. Nothing's going to be guaranteed. Nothing's going to be given to this Oklahoma Sooners team. So, Jay, you want to do predictions? You want to talk through this game? How do you think that this one's going to go for Oklahoma?
My predicted score is 27-10. I think that we do a good job defensively. We get 1 defensive score. And that's how we cover the spread. It's not going to be the way that the fans like it, It's going to be the ways that they're going to hate it. But guess what? You want a defense. We've got defense, which means that the offense has got to catch up. It will in time. But this is not Lincoln Riley's offense. This is not Jeff Lebby's. This ain't Josh Heupel's, right? This ain't Kevin Wilson's. This team is built to where the defense leads it. And then the offense's job now is to hold the ball and run some clock. So I'm going to say 27-10.
Yeah, I think it's a much more efficient game for the Oklahoma Sooners than we've seen in the last 2 weeks. I think Jackson Arnold plays well. He might not put up big passing numbers. I know I kind of messed around, and I'm going to probably find out next week whenever they announce the SEC Offensive Player of the Week, and probably not going to be Jackson Arnold. But hey, it could happen. I think he plays a good game. I think it's another solid performance. It's not going to blow anybody out of the water, but I think the run game gets going a little bit better. I'm not going to say it's going to run for 300 yards or maybe even 200 yards, but I think they can run for over 150 yards as a unit and be much better than what they were last week. I'm looking at 27-13. I think Oklahoma covers, but barely. But I think it's going to be an efficient offensive day. And I think the offense puts up 3 touchdowns. Somehow, some way, they score 3 touchdowns. Tyler Keltner gets back on track with 2 field goals, and Oklahoma wins this one. And I will say, feeling pretty good about the direction when they come off the field on Saturday. You want to look at a few SEC games before we get out of here, Jay?
Yeah, let's look at a couple of them.
What's the game that you're most excited to look at or watch? It's not Oklahoma Tulane.
I'm going to be honest. The one for me is LSU, South Carolina.
Yes.
I'm really curious to see if South Carolina's for real, right? We know that what Beamer ball is. The offense has been okay, but we've also seen LSU struggle overall, but still have, Garrett Nussmeier is still having a solid season, 610 yards and 8 touchdowns. He played well against LSU. That Nicholls State game was not there was much to be desired, and it was mainly because their defense is just not very good right now, right? Yeah. South Carolina's defense is really good. Their offense ain't. But their defense is really good. So I'm curious to see how that turns out.
Yeah, if they can get Lenora Sellers into space, I think they'll have some good moments. But I think the defense is good enough to keep it close. I picked South Carolina plus the points when I did my SEC picks over at Sooners Wire. So, hey, that served me well last week against Kentucky, and I think they're going to build on a really strong performance from that South Carolina defense. The one that's really intriguing to me is Bama at Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Wisconsin, is kind of your prototypical, stereotypical, really Big Ten team, right? They're not going to be super flashy, high flying. We're going to see Tawee Walker against the Bama defense, so that could be a lot of fun. But you're going to get Bama inside the House of Pain with jump around. Will it matter when they go from third quarter to fourth quarter? We'll see. But I think it's going to be a good test for Jalen Milroe and for Kalen DeBoer, and to kind of get that offense going early. They struggled last week against UCF, took a 28-point fourth quarter to kind of pull away from the Bulls. But I think Bama's going to be able to win this one and cover, but it's going to be a fun game to watch. There's a couple others, BC, Boston College, coming off of a win over Florida State a couple weeks ago, going to Columbia to take on the Missouri Tigers. Listen, Boston College at one point in time in this millennium was a really, really good football program. It's been a long time since they were, but I remember Matt Ryan beating Virginia Tech and Michael Vick. I remember them winning the ACC. Like, they were good once upon a time. There's a chance they could be back to that. So this is going to be a fun game to watch.
Yeah, I'm really intrigued by that Bama-Wisconsin one because, like you said, I want to see Tawee Walker and what he does. I want to see what Luke Fickell's defense is going to look like trying to handle Jalen Milroe, because the last time that a Luke Fickell defense had to go up against Alabama just ran it down his throat, right? Yeah. But this is not that Cincinnati defense. This is more of that Wisconsin defense, which is, like you said, it's a very stereotypical Big Ten team. They're not going to score more than 30 points. They're going to really manage the clock. They're going to run the ball down your throat. It's going to be hard-nosed, blue-collar football. I'm really curious to see if that's going to be able to win a game against Kalen DeBoer, right? Against the way that Kalen DeBoer's offense is ran, and if Bama's defense is going to be for real going forward. Because, they struggled against USF. Yes, they broke out at the end of the game, but that score is very deceiving whenever you look at the actual game itself. But that BC Missouri game, Bill O'Brien's out for blood. And I would not be surprised if BC goes to Columbia and win that game, right? And just shock everybody. Missouri's defense has been fantastic and lights out against nobodies. They've been playing against the Sisters of the Poor, the School of the Blind. They've not been playing any actual teams that are even the caliber of Power 5, Power 4, or G6. Now, the question is are they ready for this quote-unquote gimmicky type offense that's going to go out there and ball? Stilleon, he's going to ball. That's what I'm curious to see if Missouri's defense is for real. That's where the questions lie. Yes, they have not given up any points, if I'm correct, so far this season.
Nope. 0.
Does that actually matter when you've played who you've played? I mean, give it to us. We actually played two FBS schools, one G6 and one Power P4, right? We've actually played real teams. Missouri hasn't. So now we got to see if Missouri looks like against a real team. And Trayshawn Ward's going to go out there and try to get him some yards too. So if that run game happens for Boston College, I think Missouri's cooked. But Missouri should be able to get their offense going.
Yeah, I think so. Luther Burden's super fun to watch. It's sad to
watch. Theo Weiss is killing it
in that black and gold, and it's also sad to watch Theo in that black and gold too. But it's fun to watch them. Just from a football perspective, not from an anti-Oklahoma perspective. Mid off of the week, Texas A&M goes to Gainesville to take on the Florida Gators. But hey, do we get to see more DJ Lagway? Will DJ Lagway put on another show? That's going to be interesting to watch. Connor Weigman questionable, but is he really questionable? So that's going to be an interesting one to watch. I think that one can go a long way to helping either team get bowl eligibility. This is a big opportunity for Billy Napier to listen. Texas A&M may not be great, but it's a big name, right? And if you can beat a big name, that's a nice little bullet point on your resume. And then listen, pray for Brock Vandegrift and Mike Stoops and the Kentucky Wildcats as they welcome the Georgia Bulldogs. They just got roasted by South Carolina at home this past week. So what are they going to do against Georgia? I don't think it's going to be very good.
Yeah, I'm not even concerned about that game, right? I don't even think that game is even playing this weekend, in my personal opinion. But that Florida Texas A&M was going to good one because we got Graham Mertz that's supposed to be back, but does it make sense to play him? No, it doesn't. I'm just going to be honest. We've synced this story. We've watched his movies. We know what the outcome's going to be. It's kind of like watching Tom Cruise in Mission Impossible. You already know what's going to happen at the end of that movie. So why waste our time on that? Now, he's nowhere near the actor of what Tom Cruise does in those Mission Impossible movies because they get action-packed in an action-packed about our guy, Mertz. All you do know is that at the end of the movie, Tom Cruise wins. That's what we don't need. We don't need to see the end result. The predictable end result with Mertz. We need to go ahead and give us Lagway, put the young guy out there. For Billy Napier to save his job, Lagway's the way to go. I mean, we can gas him up early and be like, hey man, I mean, we saw the competition. It was Sanford, wasn't nobody, but still, he looked good. Let him go out there and just sling it, and just have fun at least.
What's the worst that's going to happen? Would you rather miss a bowl game with Graham Mertz or miss a bowl game with DJ Lagway? And just you at least took your shot, right? Because this might be the only chance that you get to coach DJ Lagway.
Yep.
And if it doesn't, and if you don't make it work this year, good chance you're probably gone. So
exactly, that's the difference between them and us, is that we know that our coach ain't going to work because he's giving us exactly what we said that we needed was defense, and we're getting that. And so with them though, Napier's on that hot seat.
Yeah, look for Arkansas to put on a show against UAB. Texas gets to host in-state UTSA. Vanderbilt has a chance to hit the over on their win total when they host or go to Georgia State. Otherwise, Auburn is hoping to not get beat by another New Mexico team for the second year in a row. That should not happen. If it does,
it's not a four-letter acronym. They're lucky.
Just fire Hugh Freeze on the spot if they lose that one. And then Toledo, a good offensive Toledo team, takes on Mississippi State, but also Toledo's bad defensively. So that's kind of your SEC look ahead for the weekend. And that's going to do it for today's episode of Locked On Sooners. Thanks so much for tuning in and being a part of the show. Subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts. We're free and available on all podcast platforms and on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button and that notification bell to let you know when new episodes drop. Follow Jay on Twitter at Unfair Sports, myself at John 9 Williams. The show on all the social media platforms is at Locked On Sooners. Also, make sure you go check out Jay at some of the spots that he's going to be around town in Norman on Friday and Saturday. We got to post it on our social media accounts. We'll also post it here in the YouTube channel as well to let you know where the party's at, where the home field parties are going to be at. Make sure you wear your home field apparel on the way there for a potential little surprise. But we cannot wait to break down Oklahoma Tulane with you this weekend and next week. So thank you so much for being a part of Locked On Sooners. Go check out Locked On College Football again to get you ready for a great weekend of college football action with Spencer McLaughlin as he takes you through all the top storylines, including, hey, the Pac-12 survival, kind of, zombie rising from the dead, maybe. You know, it may not be the same Pac-12, but it's the Walking Dead Pac-12. But until next time, cannot wait to continue talking Oklahoma Sooners football with you. He's Jay Smith. I'm John Williams. Boomer.
Sooner.